Matt, welcome to the Doug Collins Show.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for having me today.
Well, we're glad to have you. First off, I sort of always joke, and as you know, and we've been talking, I always talk to candidates across the country, and I sort of say, what made you, how bad did it hurt when you fell down the stairs and decided to run for Congress? I mean, believe me, as one who's been there, it's an interesting time. But give us just a little taste of your sort of your background, your life story, where you're at, and we'll kick this conversation off today.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm the demolition man. So when I say wreck to left, I really mean it. I come from very humble beginnings, and I've had to work for everything I've ever wanted in my life. And every obstacle I've had to hammer through, every wall, everything that's ever come through, I've had to go through it. And I'm going into this race with the same mindset, is that we have a lot of policies that are being shoved down our throat by President Biden, Pelosi, and Harris, that it's, I had to stand up and fight as a small business owner. I can't take it. It's not good. It's not a conducive to a prosperous country, and we have to do something about it.
I understand. Tell us a little bit about background now, and I've looked on your site. I've looked at it. You have an interesting person. You're single, but you have a companion, an English bulldog.
Yes, Louis, King Louis. He's basically my son, but he's an amazing dog.
There you go. Well, look, I love dogs. I love the interest stories that we have at our house. It may not be the I love to hunt, be outside, be with family. It may not be the most fan, but I have a Shih Tzu at home named Cree. She runs the house, and she has me wrapped around her finger. There's no problem with that. She makes me walk all the time. So the dogs are good things. Tell us a little bit more about your story, though. You have a unique story, and I think it maybe gives you a little difference in this race. I mean, there's 11 people in the race now, something like that. It's going to be a lot. What's your distinguishing? Why you talked about your background? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So at 17, I had to drop out of high school. I had to go to work. I had to put food on the table, and I went to school at night to finish my high school education. And then my life has been nothing but hard work, dedication, and going through every obstacle. And over the next 20 years, I built myself up to own and operate in a multi-million-dollar demolition company here in the state. And it was built on hard work, my name recognition in the industry, and just doing what I say I'm going to do and honoring what I say I'm going to do. And it's taken us a long way.
Yep. Well, and I think that's important. From a small business perspective, in your business, in wanting to be in Congress, to make those, what do you see as some of the biggest impediments right now? Give me some of the policy issues that you see right now.
So I think the biggest issue right away is Biden wants to raise taxes. He's not hiding the secret. He says it's going to be tax cuts, but it's not. He wants to raise taxes on small businesses across the board, in my opinion, and we have to put a stop to it, and we have to stop with the regulations. They're trying to put all the regulations that President Trump did away with right back on us, and we can't have it. It's not conducive to letting the job creators do what they do best, which is create jobs, create income, and put this country where it belongs, and that's first.
Okay. Well, one of the things is you're from this district. Give the sense, because this is not just on the Fredericks Network and WMLB out of Atlanta and all over. We got stations all over Virginia. We're getting to Pennsylvania. We got all over the country. I got people who yell at me regularly across the country, especially liberals. They somehow just don't like me. Yeah, it's a shocker. I tell you funny in this, and believe me, and I always say this about being in politics. You need to have two things in politics. Number one, you need to have a very thick skin, and you need to have a tender heart. And if you lose either one, you're in trouble. Okay, because if you lose the thick skin, you're going to be reacting to everything. And if you lose your tender heart, you're going to be bitter, and you don't need to lose either. I came into the office today. I've been doing stuff. I have listened to my voicemails. This one person decided, I don't know what possesses people, man. You're going to find out about these people. Yeah. They decided to leave a message on my voicemail telling me I was everything but a child of God in very graphic terms, and that I hoped that I died, that I had some house fall on me, and all this kind of stuff. And then I saved it. I'm just weird that way. And the very next call was a lady from Florida saying, Doug, I just think that you need to run for office more. And you have this sweet person. It's like there's total bipolar opposites of this thing. It's like, but this is what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
And by doing that, and I say all that just to sort of set it up in the sense of, tell me about the folks across the country about the 10th district. Tell me about what's unique. You've been traveling the district. You've been talking to people. Tell us about your district.
So the 10th is great in the sense it has everything. It has farmers, rural areas, it has manufacturing, it has small business owners, it has big business. But at the end of the day, I keep hearing the same thing. We don't have enough people to do the jobs, and election integrity. Those are the two biggest issues in the 10th that I hear. and we're going to fight for both of them.
Yep. Talk about that when you talk about workers, because you hire people, especially in the construction industry. One of the first things that comes up is immigration. One of the first things that comes up, because one of the things I don't understand right now, besides the fact that we're giving away too much money, to keep people at home, the COVID pandemic did not take out a working class of people. I mean, what did it was people being paid. So from those perspectives, give us a little insight as an employer. What are you facing right now?
So the biggest challenge is with inflation, it's killing small businesses right now. What we would typically pay an employee starting, say, $20 an hour, and it would be to haul trash in my industry. We're having to pay those same people $30 to $35 an hour, which means our profit margins are nil, which means businesses are going to close.
Yep.
So it just doesn't work.
Okay. What are you seeing and I'm curious here, because just on this show we like to talk about not only politics, but we talk, and I think is if you're running for a seat in Congress, I always said when my seat was, I was the biggest cheerleader for my district. I was the economic development, but also you're there to try and help make things better, from kids who dropped out of school to that. One of the things, what do you see if there's somebody out there listening to the Doug Collins Show today, and I'm sure there's parents out there, there's probably some young people out there. What do you see as an impediment when they come to try and get a job? What do you see that's good or bad in people trying to get a job working in like your company or others?
So what I look for is integrity, and they show up. Those are the two biggest things I look for.
Just come to work.
Just come to work. We can work with anybody, but at the end of the day, we just need people to show up and be willing to work and do what needs to be done to get the job done. And you'll be rewarded financially, because that's what we work for, is for money, right? And to improve our lives. And if you just have those two simple things, you can go anywhere in this world. That's what America's built on. It's the American dream. You work your butt off and you have success.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest issues that you're going to have in facing. And really what do you think, and I want you to, from your perspective background, you've talked about your district, and I came from a district that was, I think was sort of, I call it many times, was two halves. I had the Hall, Forsyth, sort of, Lower Jackson, which was not overtly wealthy, but it was high, upper middle class. A lot of we still had, don't get me wrong, we still had a lot of issues in any of that, but it was a different group. Then you moved on into some of the poor counties, and so it's a very different. 10th District, same way. Okay, you got the outskirts of Gwinnett County, you got the outskirts of Watkinsville and Athens County, you go down to Henry, you got those. How do you take those from your perspective and what we're seeing from our education perspective, what we're seeing in opportunities that Congress could do a better job of in helping these communities get on their feet?
So personally, coming from the construction industry and seeing it, having training right out of high school, which we do, but it's not been emphasized, going into our MEPs, which is our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing skilled trade industry, from welding to so on. I think we need to have more education in putting kids straight from high school to work, because let's be honest, college is not for everybody. Right. It wasn't for me. I worked my tail off and started my own business, but it was having that ability to teach the next generation on how to keep our infrastructure alive, from manufacturing alive in this country. We got to have them know how to do it, and the best way to do it is to go to work. Well,
I think one of the things you brought up, and maybe this is something you can think about, or because I hear it coming out of you, and it's natural, it's passionate, is this idea of, and what you just said a minute ago, not everybody needs to go to college, and that's fine, but I think we've missed it, and from your perspective in Washington, is how do you, if you've got a group of high school seniors right now, some of them are just ready to get out. They're doing, playing, but they like to work with their hands. They like to do this kind of. We've got to show more people like you that you can go out there and get a plumbing, you can go out and get electrical, you can get a construction, and make money.
We'll take it one step further. You can even become a farmer.
Yes.
Like we have a shortage of farmers, small farmers in this country right now, even here in Georgia. You can take it one step farther. Let's have an initiative to put people back into the farming. Let's show you can make a living at it.
Right.
And I think you'll see a turn.
Well, I think you just brought up farming. That's something that I've been, my wife and I, just until recently, we had broiler houses over in Banks County. I've done that. Of course, my grandparents were dairy farmers. Speaking of ag, and one of the things that we're dealing with right now, especially in that district, is land prices.
Yeah.
It's almost, unless we've got a sort of a self-perpetuating problem here. Unless you come from, I hate to say, the old saying was, you come from money, you have money. Well, now, if you want to be a farmer, if you come from farming, you can stay in farming, but getting into farming is almost impossible. estate taxes, things like that. What do you see that like that you could help your district?
So I think the big thing is just, at the state level, they have many options, but on the federal level, I think the biggest thing is to try to really work on trying to give maybe tax breaks long term to new farmers, so they have that money up front. Because like in every small business, when you start, and farming's a small business. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
The first 5 years is you're either going to make it or break it. Mm-hmm. So if you can, in those first 5 years, give incentives on taxes or whatnot, if you're going into an industry you've never done, like manufacturing or farming, long-term effect, you're going to have that revenue come back in. But in the beginning, give that cushion to be able to build. Let's make them successful instead of trying to close them.
Well, one of the things is, and there's always, and I've been on the front edge of the conservative battles for years now, and doing that. Well, one of the issues though is look, I think the Department of Education in D.C. is a waste of time. Okay, it could be 20 people sitting in one room funneling the funds that go out, and instead of we've got cubicles up there. And hear me when I say this, man. And I want you to see this, and I want the Doug Collins Show listeners to hear this as well. If you put an American worker in, whether it's in a private industry job or you put them in a cubicle in Washington, D.C., and you tell them, here's what your job is, 98% of those, I at least in my heart, are going to say, okay, I don't want to just sit here and watch YouTube videos. I want to do something. So you get these regulations coming out from kids who just graduated from college. They come out and say, I want to do something. Okay, so when you look at that, one of the things from the edge perspective is I want you to elaborate on this, okay? Talked about giving skills right out of high school. I think this is a great way that Congress can direct funds. We have funds for technical ed. We have funds for high school. But why could we not have kids coming out with welding certifications? Why could we not have kids coming out with electrical certifications? Why? If you're taking algebra in 8th grade now, where it used to be you took it in 10th grade, we can do this. Yeah. Nurses, you could get an LPN coming out of high school. Why help with that?
I think that's actually a great point and a great idea. Putting those technical classes into high school would be leaps and bounds, would improve these guys or girls coming straight out of high school going into a career. So if you're taught how to weld as a freshman, by the time you're a senior, you're coming out making $25 an hour instead of starting at the bottom, so to say. So I think it's a great idea.
Well, and we've worked on it. Now, look, there's a lot of high schools, and we got some who do better than others. And it is coming back around. It's coming back a little bit, I don't say in vogue, but it's coming back around to actually do what we're looking at. Hold on right here for Matt. We're going to pick back up here in a second. Folks, I just wanted to say thanks for listening to the Doug Collins Show. Thanks for Valhalla Resort in Helen, Georgia, our sponsor of the Doug Collins Show. If you ever want to have a chance to get away for a weekend, go to ValhallaResort.com. Book you a weekend. Spas. You got the pool. You got food. You got all kinds of drink. And then for those who like to go out and do what Mark Twain said, that golf was. He said golf was a good walk gone bad. You've got Innisbrook Golf Course up there. Mike McCall is a wonderful PGA pro. He'll help you out. Y'all got clubs. You got a full stock clubhouse. Valhalla Resort and Hotel is a proud sponsor of the Doug Collins Show, and I'm a proud sponsor. Lisa and I love the place. We look forward to going, and it's getting ready for the fall. It's going to be beautiful up in Helen, Georgia. Want you to be a part of that. Now, back with Matt Richards. Here is running for the 10th District in the state of Georgia. Just following up on that a little bit, how do you get people, and you're younger and coming into this and look at, how do you see people around your age, younger, a little bit younger, been affected or affected in many ways from not being wanting to be a part of this process? If they would look at your campaign, say, why should I get involved?
Because I'm one of them. I'm a common guy. I'm trying to do a very uncommon thing for running for U.S. Congress. My life has always been a battle. It's always, like I said before, I had to go through every wall I've ever wanted. And I'm trying to use that example, and I've connected with a lot of people in the 10th with that. It's anything is possible in life when you're willing to do the work and you're willing to do good work. And you can use that same mantra for everything you want in life. You show up, do the work, and you can get anywhere you want to in life.
Yeah. Well, and I think I hear this all the time, and maybe I would like to see if you agree with this. Yeah, I hear people all the time saying, I don't like politics. We get this, except the folks who follow it all the time. And to folks who I say who only look at politics and only look at news sites and everything else, I just have a loving request. From 3 to 4 every day, listen to the Doug Collins Show. And then after that, go find something else and do to life. Okay? I'll keep you informed from 3 to 4 every day about what's going on. But there's hunting, there's fishing, there's bowling. I don't know what it is. But a happy person is a well-rounded person. Go to church. Go to things like that. But people tell me all the time, I don't like to be involved in politics. Well, bullcrap. You're in politics every day of your life, in your job and everything else. What we've got to understand is you've got to be involved in the process, because the process is what the founders gave us.
Correct.
And I think, looking at that, one of the things is, and we're coming up here toward the end, but you've laid out a lot of interesting stuff. Tell me, in looking at the landscape right now and where you see it, in Georgia, a lot of discussion about the issue of, are we turning more purple? Are we turning red? What do you see? And the tent's a little bit different here, so you got to get from the tent. Do you see people still? They're frustrated with a lot in life, but they're still basically conservative folks.
I believe that. I believe the state of Georgia is still a conservative state. We need to show it. We need to vote. We need to put conservatives back, and we got to continue that fight. Well,
I think that's one of the things that we've got to do. Look, there's a lot of folks in this race, and we've talked to some of them, and we're glad to have you here today. Before we sort of wrap this part up, I want you to give a chance to tell us where they can find you, how they want to get involved, how they can give you money. I'm helping out. I help everybody, okay? Because look, folks, if it's more than just simply saying, if you're out there listening, you say, well, I want House to become Republican. Well, you got to get involved. Maybe it's Matt Richards, maybe it's somebody else, but find somebody and get involved. If you're in the 10th District of Georgia, or if you're not, maybe you want to come work for a campaign. How do they do that?
It's very simple. You go to wrecktheleft.com, and you can find everything you need to about us. You can go there. You can donate. You can support us. You can sign up for the newsletter, and you can even buy a Wreck the Left T-shirt. So
there we go. Hey, anytime you have merchandise, that's always good. Yeah, I can see your campaign team saying, "Yes, you got the merch in." There we go. I love it. As we go, folks. Look, it is Matt. It's been a pleasure to have you here. I've got to spend a few minutes before the show getting to know you, folks. I encourage you, go to Matt Richards, VoteMattRichards.com, and find out about this guy. I mean, he's bringing some fresh ideas. He comes from an interesting background. I think you would be well served to at least find out about what he's doing, and I think that's going to be good. You got a long race ahead. This is we're still 10 months out. I've done these races, Matt, a long time. Believe me, it seems long now, but it will catch up eventually. Let me let you know about that. But Matt, thank you for being a part of the show today.
Thank you for having us. It was an honor to meet you.
Well, folks, we're